Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon, and welcome to Knowledge Talks, a weekly edutainment and knowledge sharing program aired live specifically to share with you topics that contribute knowledge to the society. Every week, Knowledge Talks hosts and invites guests that are experts, professionals, and leaders from the field that bring wealth of knowledge to you. Knowledge Talks also highlights and promotes talents in the country that contribute knowledge and success to the nation. This program, ladies and gentlemen, is a weekly session that I will have with you every Tuesday at 5 p.m. I'm your host, Tariq Al-Barwani, along with our studio engineer, Al-Aremi, for an hour bringing you free knowledge at your doorsteps on Oman Radio FM 90.4. Okay, stay tuned after this music break for today's interesting personality and interesting knowledge topic. Welcome back to Knowledge Talks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tariq Al-Barwani, along with our studio engineer, Al-Aremi, with you here live today on Oman Radio FM 90.4. Now, what would it take to open up and operate a tourism company here in Oman successfully? Well, my guest today, ladies and gentlemen, is Rebecca Mayston, Managing Guide Oman and a specialty tourism company in Oman, will be sharing with us here today her valuable and rich experience in tourism and operating a successful business industry here in Oman. The question is, who is Rebecca? Ruqayya, she is an amazing personality, born in New Zealand, grew up on a sheep and beef stud before heading to overseas to discover the exciting world of travel, MashaAllah. Rebecca has been an Oman enthusiast since her first experience as a tourist back in 2008. Over the years, Rebecca has extended the opportunity of unique experiences to thousands of Omanis, expatriates and tourists, and proudly hosted over 64 nationalities on events, and to many through speaking engagements when she visits her home country. MashaAllah. Now, in 2012, she was awarded the Best Customer Service Award at the Travelex Oman Tourism Awards. And today, I'm very, very pleased to host and welcome Rebecca on Knowledge Talks to share with you on all that you need to know about tourism as a business in Oman. Rebecca, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Knowledge Talks.
Shukran Tariq, Assalamu alaikum, Kia ora, hello.
Oh, it's so lovely, you know. Since I've seen you, of course I know about you. I've seen your posts on the social media. You've got a great brand already. You have a fantastic personality. That's what I can tell you, mashallah.
Thank you.
And even when I saw you today, you just enlightened the show when you came in. I can tell you that, mashallah.
Thank you.
And as I said when we just met, when I look at your Instagram post, the way you put the masar, that's unique. That's special, by the way.
Makes me fit, no?
You are Oman enthusiast. Tell us about Oman as a touristic country. You know, you being an expatriate, how many years have you been in Oman already?
So 7 years working, but 8 years since I first came to visit.
MashaAllah, you're Omani already.
Wee while. I love it.
MashaAllah, you're Omani already. And you speak the language, right? Arabic?
أيوة. نص.
كيف حالك؟
زين الحمد لله. شكرا.
اسمك مين؟
أنا اسمي إنجليزي روبيكا عربية رقية.
والنعم. وأنت من وين؟
أنا من نيوزيلندي.
MashaAllah. So you know, if this was not an English radio program, I would have just spoken to you in Arabic, because you speak very lovely. I love your accent, and I love the way you speak the language, by the way.
Thank you. It would be a good training exercise, I think, to do the interview in Arabic.
So 2008 is when you came to Oman?
Yep.
And
I left New Zealand for 3 months, packed my bags, and assured my mum and dad I was only travelling for 3 months.
Wow. And you've been in Oman since then?
It's been a wee while, yeah.
MashaAllah.
Not just in Oman. So the first 14 months was travelling around the world. So that really helped to cement the interest and the passion of tourism.
Okay.
You know, of course, once you have that bug for travel and those unique experiences, then it just starts to grow. But there was, from the very first visit to Oman, there was just something that it really captured my attention. There was something unique about it, special about it. And, you know, some people would joke that the IV drip was connected and it hasn't been disconnected since
MashaAllah,
then.
which I would like to know what is the unique and special about it. But before that, I just want to ask you a question. So was it the first time you traveled outside New Zealand?
No. No,
So you've traveled many times.
I travelled, but it was the first time by myself.
Okay.
So second year of university, I was on exchange in Seattle.
Okay.
And before then, there'd been small family holidays to Australia and to the Pacific Islands.
Okay.
But I'd never been to the other side of the world.
Okay.
And certainly not by myself. So it was a big step up and a big confidence builder
MashaAllah.
to step out by yourself. And believe me, when you travel by yourself, as you know, everything is down to you. It's your decisions. It's your trip. If you want a lazy day or if you miss the train, there's no one to blame but you. It's up to you to direct. So it certainly steps you up as an adult.
What made you think about traveling and also traveling alone? What made you say, you know what, I'll go out and travel? Did you have something in mind, a project, building a confidence, for instance?
No, I don't think it really came down to that. I think it was just the fact that I was ready. Let's go. Okay, no one else is ready. I'm just going to go. Why wait?
Wow.
You know, let's do it now. Of course, I was only planned for 3 months.
Okay, yes.
And that got me to Oman to visit a friend who was here at the time.
Okay.
But by then, the itch of travel had gotten in place. So, you know, one month led into the next. So
How many countries have you visited so far?
I think it's about 33.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. And
When you travel in Europe, it's quite easy to tick quite a few countries.
And so apart from Arabic, how many other languages do you speak? How many other languages you speak as beautifully as Arabic?
Only English and Arabic.
Okay, MashaAllah, that's very good. So you visited 30 countries and you picked Arabic as one of the languages.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
very good.
I can probably say hello to you in many languages and count to 5 in a few languages, but it's not quite enough to get by.
So if you, just for the sake of others who are listening to this program, expatriate who would love to learn the Arabic and also love to be at your pace, mashallah, as well, what would be the thing that you would advise someone in order for them to learn a language, and in specific Arabic as well?
I think for me, the big thing has been immersing myself in the language, listening to it and being surrounded by it. It helped to change my ear. You know, when you're hearing it, and certainly nowadays when I'm in situations where only Arabic is being spoken, I may not understand the full conversation, but if I know half of the words, you can at least gather the conversation. And through there, listening to the Arabic has been a big step to changing me to then being able to go and learn. But the next thing would be vocab. Just learn your vocab.
MashaAllah.
And practice.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
One thing I liked as well is that when our studio engineer Ahmed Aremi, who's smiling over there right now, came in to the room and is asking, he was telling me specifically, you know, Tariq, you guys have to have the mobile phone switched off. You just picked up yours and switched off. He said it in Arabic. That's when I picked up.
Did
I said,
he?
wow.
I didn't even pick up on that.
But what I noticed. He told me, in fact, she understands Arabic. Okay, then I said, mashallah. But that's what I noticed, you know. I mean, automatically, you just picked it up, you switched off the phone, and I didn't even pick my phone. You are even faster than me. So it means you captured it very, very fast, what he said, you did. That's really good.
You've got to be on best behaviour when you're in the studio.
Tell me one thing. Oman, for me, I'll give you an example. I've traveled to many countries, not as yourself, and I want to sit with you and learn about all the countries that you've traveled, so I could as well, inshallah, one day probably be opportunity to travel to many countries. But one thing is that when I've traveled to many countries, and people ask me, where are you from? I said, I'm from Oman. And believe me, some people say, Amman. I said, no,
Oh,
it's
yeah, they
Oman.
all think you're from Jordan.
From Jordan. I said, no, it's Oman. I say, where is Oman? They don't know. I need to tell them it's closer to Dubai. So, you know, it's closer to the UAE, especially Dubai. Dubai is known everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's when they know. What's your opinion, or what do you say about that in terms of Oman today compared to many years ago as far as a touristic country?
I think the awareness of Oman has increased significantly over probably the last 5 years. Because certainly when I came, it wasn't well known about. And certainly for mum and dad, and, you know, when they went to visit their friends, you know, where is your daughter going to visit? Nobody had heard of it. Of course, Dubai, everybody knows.
Yes.
But a lot of people think of the Middle East in two different chapters, I think. They either think of Dubai or they think of the and I do the quote sort of symbols, you know, the bad Middle East, and this is what people think of as the whole umbrella, which of course Oman is like neither. Oman is an absolute hidden gem, and I think the big thing about the marketing and getting Oman more and more known, as it is happening at the moment, is emphasising that safety and the absolute potential here, because it is completely unlike any other country. But certainly in New Zealand, I can't speak for any of the other countries. In New Zealand over the last years, it's been really interesting. Of course, my mum and dad have got a very keen interest in Oman now, so I do get the copies of the newspaper clippings and notifications when there's the TV programs on. Yeah. There's been a big change, and Oman has been quite prominent in the media of late.
Have your parents, mum and dad, come to Oman yet?
They have.
How many
times? They have. Must be about 4 or 5 times.
Wow!
Yeah, they love
thanks
it.
to you, obviously.
Yeah, of course. They've got to come and visit their little girl. And, you know, as they say, they looked after me when I was young. So now they can come and sit and enjoy Oman, and I take care of them because I can do the cooking and the driving and the sightseeing. And they've got their personal tour guide. So it's kind of perfect.
Yeah. You used 2 words when you described Oman: unique and special. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about the unique and special thing that you see about Oman?
Oh,
how long
have we got?
It's all yours.
Oman is, it's nowadays a country that is very close to my heart, which I think has become evident, you know, through my social media and through the speaking engagements that I have when I'm home. And it is those aspects of it being really special and unique that I'm determined to try and portray to people, because Oman gets put under that umbrella of the Middle East, and the media, God bless them, we love them, but they do blindfold people, and a lot of the world population follows that. And my experiences, my family's experiences and my friends' experiences of all being in Oman is nothing like what the media portrays. And once you get here, I haven't come across someone who hasn't had an experience which leaves them with similar feelings. You know, whether it's the food, the unique opportunities of being invited for Eid and sitting with a family and eating shua, whether it is, you know, seeing the incredible sights, you know, picking roses with some of the locals. You know, there's just so many things that blow me away each day, aside from having everything here. I mean, you've got coastline, you've got mountains, you've got desert, you've got wadis. What's missing?
MashaAllah, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
Which food do you eat? What is your favorite Omani food?
I love shua.
MashaAllah, awesome.
Love shua.
Okay.
Very similar to a New Zealand dish.
Okay, which New Zealand dish?
In New Zealand, we have a dish called hangi, which is
hangi.
Hangi.
Okay.
It's a bit of a funny word. It's
okay.
a Māori word.
Okay.
And that is meat that is actually wrapped with banana leaves. Mm-hmm. With the sweet potatoes and pumpkin and potatoes.
Okay.
And again, it's buried in the ground and cooked for 24, 36 hours. But the difference is that shua has those beautiful spices. Okay. So you get those lovely flavours that come through. But it's a very similar sort of cooking concept.
I need to try that dish in New Zealand.
It amused me when I came here. And I was like, but we do something similar in New Zealand. You know, there is a few similarities.
Okay.
The Bedu in Oman, they flick the end of the nose, don't they? In greeting.
Yeah, it's true.
In New Zealand, the Māori population, not the Pakihas, the Māoris, they greet each other by pressing the end of each nose together.
Really?
Yes.
No, that's I didn't know that.
So come on, how can we be on two different sides of the world, but there are similarities.
MashaAllah, that's really nice. Now tell me one thing. Being an expatriate who is also into the tourism business, okay? Someone asks you, I'm coming to Oman. what are the places to go? How many days minimum do you expect for me to come from? It's like traveling any country. Just want to know.
Yeah.
What will be your response?
I think a big thing for me initially would be what time of year they were looking to come,
Okay.
because that would sway the trip a little bit, I think.
Mashallah, you're one step ahead. I had the question as well, but you're one step. That's what I love about you.
I would also try and get a little bit of interest, what they might be interested in seeing, because there is so many different opportunities. But I think as a minimum, if they came for 5 or 6 days,
Okay.
let's say a week,
So a week is
they
okay.
would get a taste of Muscat, they would get a taste of the desert, the mountains. You could get the culture, the heritage with some of the museums, the working Omani museums where they can grind wheat and interact with the ladies. And that would give them a taste. If they had 3 or 4 days, you can still achieve that, but I find with majority of people it's enough to whet their appetite, but it's not enough time to get them into the real grit of the country.
Okay. And what would be...
I mean, you I could say even 7 years is not long enough, but the average tourist doesn't have that long.
Mashallah. Now, what months or would you say that you should not come in during this time? Or you say no, across the year they can come anytime?
Across the year they can come. Of course, this time of year it is a bit more difficult to enjoy the desert.
So that's June to September?
Yeah. However, there are resorts where they have AC accommodation.
Okay.
So as long as you avoid the center of the day in the desert and you're enjoying the late afternoon evenings in the desert, which is absolutely beautiful actually, watching the sunset and the stars come out, it's manageable. Okay, you are going to have a bit more heat. You know, if you think about the fact that even winter in Oman is hot for New Zealanders, you know, it is something that you do have to balance with tourists. But you can get them, I would focus them more in the summer months towards the mountains and maybe try and give them a taste of Salala rather than having them hike in the wadis and spending too much time outside of AC.
Okay.
But my brother was here in August a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And he ended up halving the time that he came because he just couldn't quite believe that his sister was serious, that we could be doing activities for a week while he was here. We spent 1 night in Muscat, 1 night in Jabal Hat, Jabal Shams, Jabal Akhtar. And we hiked and we camped and he was amazed. Because it was beautiful temperatures up in the mountains. But a lot of people underestimate that you can enjoy activities in Oman when it's summer.
Mashallah.
So we just need to emphasize that.
Yeah. Myself being in Omani, and I probably didn't go to most of the places that you've mentioned. You know more of Oman than myself, by the way, Rebecca.
There's still a lot to be discovered.
Mashallah. Which we're going to talk after the break today about the different places and what you yourself as someone who's running a tourist company, how can people get to know these places and what are the great places that is available out there. We're going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, and revert back at Knowledge Talks. Interesting discussion today with Rebecca, Ruqayya, on tourism, and we're going to right now talk about the Guide Oman, the company that she is working for, managing the business, on how what do they do, the activities, and how it's tied up with tourism. But before that, I want to ask you a question. Ruqayya,
Yes.
tell us about Ruqayya.
I can't actually remember how long ago Ruqayya came about, but it was some young Omani girls came with their dad on a desert crossing, and obviously Rebecca didn't quite fit with them, or Robika, or Rebecca. There's many different variations. And they started calling me Ruqayya, which, if I'm correct, means like big sister, sort of carer. Is that right? I'm not sure. Someone told me. But they started calling me Ruqayya, and on the crossing, even if they were 5 sand dunes away, as soon as they saw my car, they'd be screaming out,
Ruqayya!
for Ruqayya! And it's stuck, and it's been important for me in situations where I've met, especially the Omani elders, like for example Abdullah Sakri, my Rosewater distillery man, going in and meeting him. If I had Rebecca, there isn't a connection. But I remember the day that I met him very well, and I was with one of the guys of the company, and of course that having a Omani elder with me gave a bit more wasta, as they say. But as soon as I introduced myself as Rukaya, my sister is Rukaya. So instantly a lot of those barriers were broken, which makes it much easier to form the bonds and the friendships.
Yeah, mashallah. Yeah. When one wants to travel from one country to another, the first thing that what mostly people do, or myself, is I go to Google and just type, for instance, let's say I go to New Zealand, I'm going to type in what are the 5 places not to miss. Mm-hmm. So if you say Oman, what would that be?
Ooh. Well,
not necessarily say 5. Give me a few places. You know what, Tariq? These are the places that people must not miss to go if they are coming to Oman. Be it Salalah, Muscat.
Well, for me, number 1 has to be Wadi Shab. That was really where I fell in love with Oman.
Wadi Shab.
Not just being inside the wadi, just the approach of the road, the colour of the sea, and the houses right there on the cliffs. But the whole aspect of Wadi Shab would be high.
Okay, and the studio engineer,
he's giving me thumbs
is
up?
giving thumbs up, and he says he's from there. He's from Wadi Shab. Yeah. Yeah, he's from Sur.
So then we better have Sur.
Yeah. So Wadi Shab is 1.
Wadi Shab is 1. For me nowadays, the desert has to be second. That has become a second home for me. I spend probably 50% of my time in the desert. If I'm not in Muscat, chances are I'm on top of a sand dune.
Even during this weather right now, it's too hot.
During the summer months, it's a little bit hot. That's why I retreated down to Salalah.
Yeah.
And certainly for people who are wanting something a little bit different, especially if they are living in the Gulf, I can understand that if you're living in a European country, it may not be as appealing. But if you are expat or GCC resident, get down to Salalah to see the Kharif and the waterfalls and the rain. It is something different. You have to experience it.
Museums?
I love getting into the museums.
Okay.
Places like Al Hazm Castle and Jabreen. Just to see. For me, I guess I'm a creative person, so I see the textures, the engravings, the embossed ceilings, the painted ceilings, and I love seeing that in the museums. Of course, we've got beautiful museums here in Muscat as well.
And there also one thing, I don't know if you noticed, but if you notice the museums here in Oman compared to museums in other part of the world, they cost a lot of money to enter. But in Oman, it's just about 500 bases or 1 riyal.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that, by the way?
It doesn't worry me paying to enter into the
But
museums.
is it good or bad? Don't you think
good.
probably Oman should probably put the price a little bit up, for instance? Just thinking.
Do they need to have the price up?
Yeah. Okay,
It's nice. It's nice having it that it's affordable for absolutely everyone. Because if it was a little bit too expensive, you're going to discourage some people from going and visiting.
Okay.
And certainly you do need to pay for the maintenance and the upkeep and the staffing and the manning.
Yeah.
So certainly if that area was struggling, then I see no reason why, the
price
500 bays are, come on, 2 riyal is still really cheap compared to elsewhere in the world.
Yes.
But if it was 2 riyal, would you go to majority, would you go to more than one?
No, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the museums, Wadi Shab, the desert, obviously, and Salalah.
Yep.
So these are the places that you would recommend.
Oh, there's so much.
But these are the top one you say that people must not miss.
Yep.
Yeah. GoToMan. GoToMan is the company that you are managing and you work for, and you are also managing it. Please tell us about it.
Okay, so the GoToMan is an absolute gem. It's a business that has been built on passion, and you find that not just from myself as the manager, but right the way through the whole team. There's that same passion. And the main business for GoToMan is that we specialize in running self-drive desert safaris. Now, that's quite different, because a lot of the time people are put in four-wheel drives and they get taken to the desert. When you are self-driving, it comes with a completely different challenge.
What is the difference?
Is that you're in control of the vehicle.
Awesome. So it's so with this one, you actually get your customers or people who are coming in, they actually drive their own four-wheel drives?
Their own four-wheel drive. Some of them rent four-wheel drives. So we've got a couple of Jeeps that we rent to people. Of course, if you have international visitors, it's quite hard for them to get access to a four-wheel drive, and also to camping equipment. So we set them up and get them ready and out into the desert.
Even cars, you provide them?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, if they need it. We've only got 3, so it's not a big big fleet of vehicles, but it's enough to at least help some of the international people who are coming in.
Okay.
But being able to self-drive is very unique because it gives you a completely different perspective of the desert.
Okay.
Desert driving is not easy.
Okay. Yeah.
And to learn those skills and to be out there experiencing it, and 2 days later emerging 180 kilometers south of your start point is a real sense of accomplishment.
You drive anytime, you can go there. We have to go together.
Yeah, come. We need to get you there. I know Muhammad Isa would be nodding right now saying, yeah, I've been trying to get this guy to the desert for a long time.
So you can, so people take, is there any specification for that type of cars?
Yeah, there is. You need to have a stronger four-wheel drive. You need to have a reasonable amount of clearance. And that just helps to make it not only easier for you as the driver getting through, but also eliminating damage on the vehicle. Because if your vehicle is too low and too heavy, it's fairly difficult to get you through.
Okay.
So what we do is we are off the beaten path. So we really are, we're away from the Bedouin highways, we're away from civilization and people, and we are creating a special road to follow through on the desert.
Oh, I love
so, we've got customers who come every 2 weeks. They don't miss a trip.
Oh, so they keep coming again. But is it different places that you go?
We have a different route, but we always have the same entry and exit point. But of course, every trip in the desert comes with different challenges.
Okay.
So every season I would do about 20 crossings, and with the different personalities, the different vehicles, the different weather, you come across completely different situations. So one of the big things about the trip is teaching people how to operate their four-wheel drives.
Wow. And so you even provide them training on how to...
Oh yeah, we have a little baby Jeep, and we hold a driver education session before we get people out into the dunes. And that's really important because at the end of the day, the desert is classified as an extreme terrain. It's not something that should be taken lightly. You shouldn't go by yourself, and you need to be sensible about it. You need to be safe. You need to wear your seatbelts.
There's a lot of things behind it. I know.
Absolutely. So you need to have those skills in order to safely get through there. And that's where, for us, having the education, having the support crew, we've got a huge crew that we call the 3R crew, and they are there to help hold people's hands, to give them the relief and the comfort and the reassurance of where they're going. Because reality is, if you're not getting stuck, you're not actually in the desert.
Okay.
No matter your skill level as a driver, you are going to get stuck. It's a reality for any of us.
Yes, but it's a different road altogether.
Yeah.
You would need to go and get trained how to drive a car in the road, in a normal road.
Yeah.
But in the desert, doesn't mean that if you're a good driver, then you can drive in the desert, right? Completely different.
Completely different.
You mentioned a few things that you need a strong car and clearance.
Yeah.
So when you say strong car, because everyone says I have a strong car. What's a strong car?
I would say a vehicle, I know we have accepted 3-litre engines in the past, but ideally if you have a 3.5-4-litre engine with high torque, that gives you the power to get through.
Okay.
You see a lot of hugely modified Jeeps and Land Cruisers and Prados on the roads these days. Chances are they are a GoToMan customer, so you can wave out to them if you see the little GoToMan sticker. But you don't actually need to heavily modify your vehicle. So I drive a stock standard Jeep. Doesn't have the lift kit, it doesn't have the changed tyres or anything, but it just means that you need to be a different driver.
Okay.
So driving in the desert, you need to learn patience. You need to be cool and calm and gentle. Because
Yeah,
desert driving is not aggression. As soon as you are aggressive, you're going to find the track is a little bit rough because you'll have the car flying, and your car will also start hating you because it'll start losing bits and pieces if you career around too fast. You know, at the end of the day, a Ferrari is for speed on the roads in the city, but four-wheel drives in the desert aren't for speed.
Yeah. No, I respect that fully. Now, when you are going on the deserts with these cars, you mentioned a very good. You said a very good advice that people should not go there alone.
Yeah.
Now, they would need training, and the kind of training that you provide, is it a day? Is it 2 days?
We train them there on site.
With their own cars or different cars?
With their cars.
With their own cars.
So at the start of the trip, so we have a crossing. Say next weekend we have our first crossing for the season.
Okay.
I know you think it's too hot, but already people are raring to go.
Okay.
So the crossing always starts on a Thursday evening because majority of our customers are Omanis and expats, not only working in Oman, but we also have them traveling from the GCC. They drive through from Abu Dhabi. We have Adil, who comes all the way from Riyadh.
Wow.
We've had
So they drive all the way from Riyadh?
They drive all the way.
Wow. Okay.
So the dunes in Shahia are a little bit different, but also the GoToMan setup is very different. So we have those customers come all the way and they meet us in Al Kamil. The next day, we wake up and we have a beautiful big buffet breakfast. We have a full catering crew that are there. So it's luxury camping. You know, you don't even have to cook. And we have a driver education session. After the driver education session, we actually split into 2 groups. And Abdul Rahman takes the extreme drivers, you know, the ones.
Is a team member.
Abdul Rahman's a team member, absolutely an important part. So he takes all of the extreme drivers. They're maybe the people who need to burn off steam and they really know their driving. So they go out and they have an extreme morning.
Okay.
Muhammad Isa and I take a different track with the people who are perhaps the first timers, but who are also there to relax and chill out on the sand dunes a little bit. You know, there's quite a difference between the extreme and proving your driving level and the we call it the chill out route. You know, it's not the beginner route, because certainly driving in the desert is never easy. Whatever terrain you're in, even the best of us are getting stuck. So it gives the first timers and the less experienced drivers a chance to build their confidence. So they start on the smaller sand dunes and gradually they get a little bit bigger, and we might turn a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left so that people can start getting the feeling of their vehicle and how it responds in the sand. Because with your tires deflated and in soft sand, it is a very different control of the vehicle. It's not like driving in the city. So splitting the group in the mornings gives both groups a chance to burn off steam, and also for the other half to build up their confidence level, so that for the rest of the weekend when we're traveling together, it's all together from there. But the big thing with driver learning in the desert is being there and actually putting it into practice.
Okay.
You could spend a week in a classroom learning the technicalities of it, and I don't disagree about that. We prefer to do that Friday morning because they are learning it straight on hand, and then they're putting it into practice.
Okay.
Because the big thing is being there learning. You know, if you're getting the feeling for it, it's very different than sitting there and watching a video about it, you know, because if you have the feeling of the steering wheel, you do understand a little bit more about the technicalities of it.
How many cases of people who were stuck did you have counted? I like to hear you laughed. I'm just
how many each hour?
Wow.
It happens, you know, and that is one of the things that you'll see posted in our social media is of vehicles stuck, and you know it becomes a bit of a competition as well.
It becomes fun then.
Well, believe me, if nobody's getting stuck, it's kind of boring.
Okay.
And it becomes a bit of a competition between the crew as well to photograph. Look who's stuck. We've got to get a photograph and a video of this because that particular crew member hasn't been stuck in a long time. But it's the fun of the desert, and that's where a lot of the camaraderie comes from.
Okay, was it camaraderie?
Camaraderie. The
Helpers?
No, the camaraderie is, that's a real Western term, the togetherness.
Okay.
A group of people coming together. It forms the bond.
Okay, awesome.
Whether you are a first-time member or a crew member, at the end of the weekend, it's quite incredible to see how a group of complete strangers
Become friends.
And, some of these groups, we've had 30 different nationalities.
Wow.
Who are there on one trip, all completely out of their comfort zones.
Yeah.
So, to get them together, especially in Oman, and especially, majority of our guests are Omanis. It's a really beautiful experience if you're an international tourist. Okay, a lot of tourists, they don't like to commit 2.5 full days to desert. A lot of them are what I call the point and shoot tourist who likes to take a photograph of a camel and a sand dune and a fort and a turtle and a castle, and halas, they've seen Oman.
But once they join the program and the experience, I think they will feel it's a different world altogether, right?
Absolutely. We've got customers who fly back into Oman regularly for trips. There's a German couple who comes back to Oman every Christmas. They come for about 10 days. They hire their own vehicle. They go off and they do their sightseeing and exploring of Oman. But they come and join with us for the desert safari because it's the comfort and the security as well. You know that there's a mechanic if your car breaks down, there's a medic if you're sick, and there's the recovery crew. But it's become an important part of their annual trip to Oman.
Awesome.
I've got a customer who has just emailed me today from Oman.
Okay.
And he was here in my very first season.
Okay.
And he's come back into the Middle East a few times, and it does make me giggle because a couple of years ago when I heard from him, the email went something like this, that he has a business meeting coming up in Dubai.
Okay.
Please tell me when I should schedule the meeting. Do you have a car available? So he flew into Dubai for his business meeting, brought his son from Australia with him. I picked them up the next day from Muscat Airport, popped them into a 4-wheel drive tent, sleeping bags, and off they went for a desert weekend.
So they came specifically for... Wow, and did they visit Oman before?
Yeah, they were living here.
Oh, they were living
here. So, even 6 years after he was living in Oman, those desert crossings have still played such a big part, that he's still behind the scenes following us, and it's really lovely to get those messages that people are still watching, interacting, and still remembering their desert crossings.
Okay, so you would agree or say that the deserts in Oman is something that people should not miss when they come. It's one of the great places,
especially if they're going to drive it.
Okay.
If you're going to stay in a desert resort, that's one experience.
Okay.
But to do a desert safari where you are out of cell phone coverage, you're away from all of those connections, all of those distractions, all of the city lights, the city noises.
It's also healthy, you know that?
It really is. And this is why I know you were really surprised that, 70% of our customers are Omanis. And regular clients. It's become a little bit like an Offroad Club. A lot of the guys I've known for that length of time. But it's healthy. It's their time to come and tune out from the rest of the world. Because let's face it, when you're in charge of a motor vehicle in the sand dunes, you don't have time to think about anything else.
Why is that? Is it because of
you
the
are
focus?
concentrating and focusing so hard
Don't want to stop.
that you don't have time to think about that business meeting that you've got coming up on Sunday and how your children annoyed you because they were late to school, and you are so busy concentrating that it is essentially a mental rest. And I do find that when people get into campsite on Friday night, you end up with two groups. You either have the people who are fast asleep before dinner.
Okay.
And then you have the people who like to sit quietly on a sand dune and read their book and watch the stars and enjoy. And then you have the social groups who are just there to catch up and, they have the oud and sit around the bonfire and share stories and experiences and share the laughter of the day. Because, during that day, as you're stopping and getting stuck, those friendships started forming.
No, this is really amazing. It's really an interesting, I think, experience that one can get, and also staying disconnected as well from the internet and all that. Now, let's look at, I'm an example of someone that I want to do it. I want to do it next week. What are the things that you and I need? I need a car.
Yep.
I need a Ford. I don't have a car. What next?
Okay, so I would either get you into one of the GoToMan Jeeps,
Okay.
or I would recommend finding a Nissan Xterra. That is a vehicle that I would suggest as a good vehicle to learn in, an Xterra or a Nissan Patrol.
Okay.
If you can't get hold of a Jeep Wrangler. Then I would also make sure that you had your camping equipment, and you can
Okay.
be as luxurious or as basic as you like. Some people have hot showers and all the full setups of flashing lights and disco party lights in the desert.
Wow, that's awesome.
Some people just go very basic.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of getting you to the desert. And it's
Okay.
a matter of making sure that your nerves don't get the better of you. Because
Okay.
I do find that some people, the nervousness of the unknown,
Okay.
it stops them from continuing through with the trip.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
So they come in, they start, and then they don't even continue.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Because it's the unknown. Mm-hmm. You know, if you've never been to the desert before, you've never driven off-road, you know, there is a big fear factor. And the mind is a powerful thing, as we
True,
know. It can be
true.
positive and it can be negative.
They're very true.
And I know certainly my first desert crossing, I was petrified. I really was,
Okay.
because it was unknown.
Yeah.
And, you know, I hated it at the time, and I really cursed it. But it's an absolute blessing for me nowadays to have gone through that, because I understand what first-timers are going
Who
through.
recommended you to do it?
Well, I came across the job, and Mohammed
Okay.
said, come to the desert.
Okay.
I'm a Kiwi, so I said, okay.
I'm going to do let me do that. Yeah.
Well, what can it be? You know, I grew up on a sheep and beef farm in New Zealand, so I've been on tractors and motorbikes. It can't be any different than that, can it? Well, it really can be.
Yeah.
But you're putting a lot of trust in a group of people. You know, you're going into unknown terrain. You're going out of coverage, so it's not like there's an easy escape. I can go and catch a taxi and go home if I don't like it. It's
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did the idea of Guide of Oman started?
It was a big passion.
Okay.
So Muhammad Isa and his friends were curious about the desert, and as I recall from the many stories I've been told, they went down to see one of the desert camps that had just opened,
Okay.
which was Al Raha.
Okay.
So they went down to the desert and stayed in the dunes, and then they went again a while later, and Ali took them for a drive in the sand dunes, and then the next time they drove a bit further, and then the next time Muhammad started driving, and you know, the experiences grew from there.
Yeah.
And from there, Muhammad started learning his skills of desert driving, not without hardship. I know back in those early days, there was a night spent on the sand dunes where they didn't have recovery equipment and they didn't have support, so they just basically had to sit tight until some people came to help them the next day.
Wow,
So things
okay.
have been learnt some of the
Yeah.
hard ways,
And
which
that's how
maybe
they're sharing their
emphasises-
knowledge now to others to learn as
Absolutely.
well from their experience.
Absolutely. So, you know, from there it started growing, and back in 2008 when I came on board, there was annual monthly trips that happened with a group of friends. And just before I came on board, you know, everybody had been bringing their own food, and Muhammad said, well, look, it's crazy if we're all here. Let's just nominate one person to do the cooking.
Okay.
So there, the GoToMan catering crew was born. So, you know, then one person was nominated and they bought the food and did the cooking and served. And, you know, the next step was that Muhammad Isa said, well, hold on a second, why am I paying for everything? You guys can start chipping in. And it was just a very natural progression of the business, and that passion for the desert and to be able to share it with other people. And it's just kept growing and growing from there, basically.
MashaAllah, that's awesome. That's really, really great. What is the future plans? Is there any new product or anything that you are working on as far as the Guide Oman is concerned?
There's always new in the pipeline, and always working to develop and do something different.
Okay.
A big thing for me has been the ladies' desert safaris,
Okay.
which as a female has been a big push for me, because certainly when I started with Guide Oman, I was fairly outnumbered. And the guys soon learnt that women can put up a pretty good challenge
sure you
on the
beat them all
sand
now.
dunes. It's a pretty big debate as to who are better drivers. And I wanted to start offering those opportunities to more and more women. So we do get a lot of women who come on the regular crossings. Of course, we've got guys who bring their families, and we've got the girls who come out for their weekends. But I know, especially for a lot of the Omani women, they're uncomfortable in those situations. And not just for Omani women, for all women in general. If you're trying to learn in an environment where it's majority men, you feel a bit more shy to learn.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different level and different enthusiasm. So to have a female dedicated event is really special. And certainly I know last year, so in October will be our fourth event.
Okay.
But last year I was very thrilled that we had 35 ladies from 16 different nationalities who came.
Okay.
And believe me, I've every month we do 2 crossings, but this ladies crossing was a different atmosphere. To have all the women there, it was buzzing. It really was. And the women, sat shoulder to shoulder around the campfire that night and sang and giggled and laughed and told stories and told jokes, and a completely different atmosphere. So to have women, to give women those opportunities, whether you come on the regular crossings or not, it's something different. Leave your husband at home with the kids and children and do something unique with your daughter, with your girlfriends, and learn.
And you see
learn
there's a
skill.
market for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
MashaAllah. That's
Absolutely.
really nice to hear.
I'm hoping that this year, our 4th year with the ladies crossing, is going to be bigger and better than ever.
Inshallah, I wish you guys the
Absolutely.
very best, inshallah.
Well, there's a big market at the moment for female-driven tourism.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the articles earlier in the month.
Okay.
They published a few. So it's definitely, for the GCC, it's a big market, but also internationally, more and more women are taking those opportunities to get out there and travel together and form those bonds.
Awesome. That's very nice to hear. Anything you wish to hear before the end of our program today?
It's already over. That's gone really fast.
I would have loved to stay longer, mashallah. Everything you say, the word that comes from your mouth are all gold, mashallah.
I think the next thing, Tariq, would be, when are we getting you on a desert safari?
Inshallah. Very much looking forward, inshallah.
So do follow us, find us online, and come and join us.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, for joining us today on Oman Radio FM 90.4 to share about your experience and your rich experience, in fact, and your feedback on Oman's tourism and the history behind Guide Oman and the next steps as well. I would like to take this opportunity to wish you the very best and success in everything that you do, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Tariq. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program for this week. I hope you all had an intriguing time with us. Let us catch up again next week on Tuesday, same time at 5 p.m. for a knowledge session. I'm Tariq Al-Barwani, along with our studio engineer Ahmed Al-Aremi, wishing you all a happy and a pleasant week. Ma'as salama.